WhiskyJason here, whiskey from the viewpoint of an American over here in Germany, often trying rare and exotic whiskeys. Today I have Nickn, not so exotic, not so rare, the cask strength version, the very first one. Yay! So, Whiskybase 243631. This is batch CS for cask strength, and then slash JD. No, not JD, GD, I'm sorry. 06. What does that mean? Why 06? Why not? Oh, this is the first cask strength bottling we've ever had. Why 06? All right. Number of bottles 4,998, and we're at 59.6% ABV. Over here in Germany, the recommended retail price was 96 euros and 90 cents. So just a tad under the price of 100. So what we have is the following. So we have, I need to just go over here to my batches here. And if I go to select batch by Nc'Nean.com, batch CS/JD06, I will get the technical details. The casks were filled from the September to December 2009, and they blacked it out. We have to hide this on Scotch whiskey regulations, only allow us to show the age of the youngest part of the whiskey. So there's 2009 and apparently 2008 whiskey in here, or 2018 or 2017. So it's 100% organic Scottish barley, very good. We have the standard yeast, which is in this case Anchor yeast, and the fermentus yeast. We have cask strength, natural color. We have non-chilled, filtered. Now be careful, because some of the people are writing down the following. They're writing down 43% ex-bourbon. Now, on the bottle here and on the internet site, it does not say ex-bourbon. It says ex-American whiskey casks. Ex-American whiskey. So it could have been rye barrels involved in this as well. Oh, that gives a unique twist to this. 55% STR red wine casks. So we shave, we toast, we rechar those red wine casks, usually from Portugal. And she puts in Annabelle, the founder and the CEO over here, 2% of Oloroso sherry cask. I never know if I can taste the 2%, but it gives a little bit of an interesting texture and moment what is going on here. Now, Nickn is, of course, the vanguard of the sustainability movement in Scotch whiskey at the moment. Love it. Certified B Corporation. The only other place in the whiskey world at the moment that I know of is in Scotland, Bruichladdich and Buffalo Trace in Frankfort, Kentucky. And they actually had 2021, they were certified as well as being CO2 neutral. So for every tree that they cut down to put in the wood chipper, to put into their biomass boiler, they plant at least one. I thought I read two even. All right, and so they can balance and cover up their CO2 footprint fairly well. That's actually very, very important. Diageo just put out a nice little snippet in the press release, I think it was this week or last week. They mentioned that some of their distilleries, in particular the grain distilleries, that they would love to go CO2 neutral by 2030. In order to do so, they need to convert a lot of things that they're now doing with gas and oil into electricity. So they could use renewable, sustainable, green electricity. Now, the biggest problem is most of these distilleries are not hooked up to the net that can actually allow them to source as much electricity as they would need to actually cover all their demands. And so there have to be new power lines set up. And this is a very, very simple problem. They themselves are not allowed, Diageo, to build their own power lines. So they have to go to the Scottish power societies, and they have to apply for their sites to be hooked up to the power lines with a much, much bigger wattage, voltage power lines. So we're talking high voltage power lines here. And so, no problem. So they did that basically this year, and they figured out, hey, look, we're on the list, and there's maybe 80 or 120 people in front of us. And they actually just go down the list. And there's a lot of people who maybe 4 or 5 years ago signed up also for more high voltage power lines, and they haven't even started building their products, their businesses yet. And Diageo's like, but we can make this turnkey finished. We're going to have to plug it in. We'll have everything finished. We have the finances, we have the power, we have the technology. Everything's there. All we need is for you to put the power lines into the company, and we'll be CO2 neutral. And the power companies basically say in Scotland at the moment, you're at position 88. Wait for the other 87, or how many ever there are. And this is really going to screw with them. Because sometimes it's going to take longer than 8 years for them to actually get connected to the grid in a higher voltage manner, and that's going to be past their self-set deadline of becoming CO2 neutral by 2030, and they can't do anything about it. Now Nickn, Annabelle, and their team from the very beginning, they planned. They're at a very remote farm of Annabelle's parents. They created everything they needed. They planned everything, and they are able to produce about almost 100,000 liters of single malt Scotch every single year, basically CO2 neutral. You can actually download their sustainability report and see actually where CO2 is being released, where is CO2 being captured, where is CO2 being offset, where is CO2 actually in the entire whiskey process. Very interesting, and at the same time somewhat complicated and boring reading. All right, so that was a long introduction. I know I gave a little bit of time in my glass for the whiskey to develop. I'm going to compare it to something which is from Clydeside, their 2023 Cask Strength Edition, 60.6% ABV. And we are talking about a price over here in Germany of 64 euros. 96, 64. 32 euros. This bottle is double. Yeah, so 50% more for this one. I just think that's very, very, very shocking. So some of my, a close friend of mine in the whiskey world, Andre from Whiskey Tales, he actually just did a video only in German about the bubble has already burst. I just need to translate it correctly. It's not will the whiskey bubble burst, can the whiskey bubble burst, when will the whiskey bubble burst. He actually wrote and did a whole video about this, about 38 minutes. The bubble has already burst. And he talks about the prices going up and up, and everything's more or less not moving at the moment. And he gave great reasons why the bubble has already burst, at least with single malt Scotch. I don't know about German whiskey. I don't know about Irish whiskey. I'm not sure about bourbon, but he said for single malt Scotch, basically, the bubble has already burst. And I think one of the reasons is, and he mentions this as well, the unbelievable prices that some of the whiskey producers are asking for their products. So I think 64 is a little bit of a stretch, and I think 96 is just almost an insult. All right, so now probably of the, what was it here? We had 5,000 bottles. They're probably going to go. I did a bottle share of this, and it went within hours. People were like, hey, I want to try the Nc'Nean Cask Strength. I bought it because I wanted to try it as well. I love their company philosophy. I love that the women lead this company, are the innovators, are at the very forefront of the sustainability in single malt Scotch, in whiskey general. Their brand ambassador in Germany, Tanya, is a great woman that I respect and I trust, and I really hope that we can get this product out there more and more. But yet, most of the bottles that I've tried, the last one was the Quiet Rebels here from Gordon. I did the Annabelle, I did the Lorna, I did the Hunter's Candy with the different yeast. I've tried a few of the different whiskeys. I've tried most of the whiskeys that Nickn does actually put out on the market, and I must admit almost all of them have not been my cup of tea. It's just that problematic for me. All right, so the Whiskey Rebels, we had, as I mentioned, we had the Annabelle, the Lorna, the Gordon, and with the Huntress, we had then the Huntress 2023, and we had the Huntress 2022 with no name on it, just Huntress, and the Huntress 23 was called the Woodland Candy. All right, so yeah, what can I say? I hope I like this. All right, so on the nose, it's got a lot of the STR casks going on in there. It's got a little bit of complexity, a little bit of wood, a little bit of a wine note going on in there. And I'm not sure if I get maybe a touch of the sherry. It's better than expected. The client side, this is clean. This is bourbon pure. This has lemon meringue. This has vanilla wood, has barley sugars. This is simple and very, very tight with the flavor profile. This has depth. I hope I explained that in a way you understand. All right, so 59.6 versus 60.6. 64 euros, 96 euros. Have I mentioned the price difference? I just think that's, as I said, it's almost insulting the price here. But let's see how many of the bottles will move. Now, there's a little bit of a yeast moment going on in here that I wasn't expecting. Cheers. Mm-hmm. There is a little bit of a heat. Now, I would be surprised if an almost 60% ABV, basically 3-year-old product. All right, so we have September. So I'm going back here to my batch here. We have the distillation time was September to December 2019. And it was bottled September to October 2023. So some of the products in here are not even 4 years of age. Let's call it a 4-year-old whiskey. That's 20 euros per year. Now, there is older stuff in there, maybe a year, maybe 2, but the youngest whiskeys was made in December of 2019. So, it's got a nice aftertaste. There's a nice flavor profile going on. There's a lot of wood. There's that STR wine cask. There's the barley and the yeast, and it's got some depth going on in there. There's as if there's a little bit of older whiskey also in there. Is it pleasant to drink? Yes. Is it absolutely with 59.6% my ideal drinking strength? No. So I'm going to add a little bit of water. I'm going to take it down to about 55% ABV. Try it again. The nose gets a little bit creamier and a little bit more of a pie crust moment. Mm-hmm. This is, in my opinion, and it's very, very easy to say, the best Nc'Nean product I've had so far. Also, a little bit chewiness even. I like, as I said, a little bit of pie crust. Annabelle, wrote here, and this is what I kind of stumbled over a fact here. I find I can taste spiced rye bread. Remember I said there's American whiskey cask and not bourbon whiskey casks exclusively in here? I think I get a little bit of a rye moment going on here in here. And to be very truthful, if I were to pick one rye, it would be Sagamore. But hey, you never know. They have juicy peaches and they have tangy lemons. I'm not sure about the peach moment. I'm not a little bit of the citrus of the lemons. I could maybe go for more for a grapefruit moment. I like grapefruit. A little bit sugar on it, nice. Pink grapefruit and so on, very nice. This has, as I mentioned, this was a little bit very focused, but this has a little bit more depth here. And I like it. I'm going to give it actually a C to C+, more of a C+ for a taste. Now, the value for money, I'm going to give a D-. I don't think this product is worth spending almost 100 euros on. All right, so I think this product is worth, I'm going to just throw a number out there, 65. This is 64. I thought this price should be about 50. And so maybe the price should be 60, 65, but 96 is just pushing it too much. This is the very, very first batch of single malt cask strength whiskey from Nc'Nean. Maybe there's enough idiots and freaks and fans out there to buy all of the 4,998 bottles, but I think that at the moment, with the economic situation, with the collapse a little bit of the Scotch whiskey market in general, that they overreached a little bit with the price. No way in the world did this cost that much money to produce. And therefore, there's no way in the world that there should be this much of a price increase compared. This is just basic Nc'Nean, absolute the same with cask maturation combination that the standard small batch has. And yet, more than double the price. All right, Clydeside from Glasgow, just very briefly. It's not a bad whiskey. There's a little bit too much heat with 60.6%. It's clean. Lemon meringue, barley sugars, a lot of vanilla from the bourbon barrels, and a tiny little bit of a gooseberry, yellow plum, even a tiny little bit of a tangerine moment going on in there. Were there any tasting notes on here? I don't think so. But this is something I could, from the value for money, I gave it, I think, a D+. For taste, I gave it a C to C-. Found it a little hot. Depends on your condition of your tongue of that day. So today it's acceptable. It's still not enjoyable. Add a little bit of water with the cask strength products, especially if you have something that's 4 years old like here. All right, so my question of the day is, what is your favorite Nc'Nean product? If you don't have one, what is your favorite product from the new, what distilleries do you know that are going sustainable? And last but not least, what is your favorite product from the new distilleries? Is it going to be a Clydeside? Is it going to be a Nc'Nean? Is it going to be a Kingsbarn or a Lindor's Abbey or a Annandale or whatever else you want to mention that's brand new out on the market here at the moment? Daftmill is still brand new in my opinion, even though they have a 15-year-old product on the market. So these are distilleries that are just newer, and we have not had a 20-year history with them. Thank you very much for watching, liking, subscribing, and seeing you real soon here back by Whiskey Jason. Bye-bye.